Hey y'all, welcome to Mawe Mysteries, the channel that brings you interdimensional content, which means that the readings are from a broad and expansive point of view as they are channeled through vast dimensions of space and time and therefore should resonate with you guys whenever you come across them. I want to talk about entities and connecting to archetypes in order, like getting to your entities through the archetype, using archetypes as a bridge in order to communicate with entities and in order to pin down, or rather just like refine what it is that you're getting from a connection. Like, what are you actually co-creating towards with this certain entity? And it's simpler to do that if you're able to connect to an archetype, because then you get the layout of the land, so to speak. So, for instance, if your archetype is someone like, or an entity like Osiris, for instance, Osiris, right? Egyptian god archetype, then you understand that the entity you're working with has a lot to do with the dark night of the soul. The entity you're going with has a lot to do with scattered energy, um, helping you navigate the underworld, so to speak. The underworld just being these many aspects of yourself that you do not know. And at the same time, Osiris had this connection to Isis, where Isis is putting Osiris back together after the displacement of Osiris's parts. And so you understand that even while working with this archetype that is Osiris, so you're going through the dark night of the soul and you're working with Osiris, but you, through working with Osiris, you're automatically also working with another archetype that is more feminine, that is helping you with the narrative of your story and helping you put yourself back together and put your life back together and have a narrative that has you understanding yourself better. Like, expanding your idea of yourself so that you can put back together this new version of yourself, because the version of yourself that was before, that's scattered, that's over. So yeah, that would just be an example of working with your entities through the bridge of the archetype. Another example would be Lakshmi. Okay, cool. So let's say you're working with an entity that has to do with abundance and growth and flourishing, and like that eudaimonian feeling, like a fulfilling, virtuous, flourishing life. Basically, that's the whole energy of Lakshmi. Opportunity, growth. So in working with such an entity, you could start at a place where you're working with the archetype that is Lakshmi, because with Lakshmi, you're able to Google or find more information about what that energy is about. And so it's easier to kind of cultivate it even when you're by yourself, in order to, think about it, live within it, create the space that holds this energy, that translates this Lakshmi vibe, and therefore understanding that the entity that you're working with is so much more like that. And you could expand it, because Lakshmi is just, let's say, one culture's idea of this type of entity, but there will be a common thread within the archetypes that make you understand the entity even more. So Lakshmi will go together with Oshun, for instance, because they stand for the same thing. Will go together with Ganesha, maybe because again they stand for the same thing. It's all about prosperity. It's all about beauty, like this inner beauty that translates into your material world. And with, because Lakshmi, it has a lot to do with like good fortune, like through the bloodline type of thing. So like almost like just being lucky, so to speak. Um, Having this alignment that allows flow. And then you've got Oshun that represents the same thing, but Oshun is also very like kind of business orientated. So even if you work a 9 to 5, um, there's assistance in maybe finding a job that is better suited to your gifts or better suited to your templates. There is the opportunity to negotiate better when it comes to a paycheck or a contract. With Oshun, there's also an addition of, I wanted to say being a teacher, but Oshun is more of a student, if I'm gonna be honest, than a teacher. Oshun has mother energy, even though Yamaya would be more that. But Oshun has mother energy. That's why some pictures will depict her with children around. They're not her children, but she has this mother energy towards the masses. But Oshun is very much represents the ability to learn. A lot of Oshun's skills were actually acquired by learning them from other Orisha. She's able to do divination because she learned that from another Orisha. And there's a certain um fearlessness that comes with masculinity that she was able to adopt from Shango. Um Even though Shango has this fear towards Oya, but like that's why I said it's a specific type of fearlessness. Femininity has a fearlessness, but it's a different type altogether. So yeah, so even that, if you're wanting to develop like this fierceness within you, then you can connect to Oya. Oya is an Orisha also, and she has to do with, yeah, just that fierceness and not being afraid to go after the things that you want. um Oya is a feminine archetype that dabbles in, and I'm saying the word dabbles on purpose, because she has what society refers to as masculine attributes or characteristics. But that's the thing with Oya. She shows how she basically shows us how it's whatever. Like it's whatever. Like do whatever you want. Be whatever you want. Be fierce and soft at the same time. Be fierce and woman at the same time. Or be man and be soft at the same time. Like that's Oya. Oya is just like fuck the lines. I do. I does what I want. And that's why maybe Shango has that thing with Oya, like, yeah, I'm Shango and I'm a king and I'm all that, but also don't fuck with Oya. Like, wait, yo, don't fuck with Oya, especially when she's working. Because they speak about how Oya works with the dead, basically, and the graveyard and so forth. But also, I didn't want to mention that because that's not just where it ends. That those are symbols. That's a code for what it is that she actually does. So yes, basically, entities through the archetype, it will help you connect to the entity better. Because ultimately, guys, your connections with the archetypes are so, or your connections, okay, your connections with the entities are for you to further your life in whatever way you want. Do you want more knowledge? Do you want to learn more things so that you can expand your experience like in this realm? There's there's an entity that will do that with you. Do you want to expand your experience in life through material gain? There's an entity that can help you with that. Do you want to do it all? Do you want the great love life, the business? Maybe you don't want to be a millionaire, but you want to be able to live comfortably, afford what you want, and you also want like a life partner that's not a marriage and like and whatever it is. You can tailor a life however you want, not just based on the parameters of the social construct and the templates that come with that. And entities will help you do it. They'll help you understand why it's even possible. Sometimes you don't even think the life you want is possible. It's possible. You just need the way. You just need the directions. and entities will help you do that. However, it may not be as easy for you yet to work with an entity, and that's why I'm saying bring in the archetypes. The archetypes will help you with that. They will help you understand not only your desires more, like why you want to connect to this entity, but what the entity can actually help you with. Okay, so start getting comfortable with your needs. So, for instance, if you feel like right now you don't feel safe, you don't feel secure enough, whatever, and you would feel better if you were in connection with an entity that has to do with protection, that has to do, because protection, I mean, is quite a vast concept. Are you feeling unsafe, like physically? Are you in like physically abusive situations and you're looking to feel safer? Are you not safe because maybe you don't have enough money in your bank account and that makes you feel unsafe because it means that, like you don't feel secure, you don't know when you'll be able to do certain things, and that doesn't make you feel secure. So maybe you're looking for financial protection, which is basically you're looking for a better paying job or a job to begin with. Are you looking for protection in the terms of that you feel like emotionally you're at a dead end and maybe you're in situations where people don't provide support or love or nurture for you, and so emotionally you don't feel safe? Understand what kind of protection you're asking for so that you can pinpoint which archetype you want to connect to, so that even if, let's say, with the archetype, right, maybe there is no entity yet in your life, but when you connect to an archetype, at least you're able, when you're in that moment, like whether we are patla or you're in that meditation moment, you're able to at least request. You can say to your ancestors, like, I'm looking for something like this. I don't feel safe because right now financially I'm not doing well. So I feel like I have to connect with people I don't want to actually connect with because I'm seeking refuge. I'm seeking safety. So can I be provided with this type of protection, with this, with this, with this? If you are brave enough to speak into the void, because some of you are. And I think that's also why I'm being called to give you this tip with the archetypes. Some of you feel confident enough to call into the void. If you are confident enough to call into the void and be like, yo, if anyone's out there, this is what I'm looking for. Would I recommend it? I wouldn't not recommend it, if I can put it like that. Like, I wouldn't not recommend it because don't want tomorrow if you get snatched by something from the void. I don't want you to say it was me. So I don't recommend it, but I don't not recommend it, if that makes sense. Have I done that? I don't know why, but with me, it always helps to know, like, have you done that? Like, that's all I ever really need to know. Um, yes. Yes. There's different ways to call into the void, I suppose. And I would be lying if I say all the entities I worked with just came to me. Like, they just came to me. Like, no, I think some of them just came to me because I put in a phone call. Hey, yo, is anybody there? Yo, screaming into the void is so sad though. And I think that's the thing though. Is that summoning? I think I'm trying to get away from the word summoning, because I think that is a path that is not for everyone. But also, this wasn't conscious summoning. This isn't a thing where I'm like, oh, it was a full moon and I put my crystals in a triangle sign and I was like, can the god of divination please receive me? No, it was nothing like that. When you call into the void, you don't even see yourself doing it. Because it's normally from a place of like deep pain or deep gratitude or deep desire or deep sexual arousal. It's always from a place of a deep emotion. And that's why depth is necessary. Remember when I told you guys that story about that guy that tried to summon the entity? And the entity, when it came, was like, you don't have the depth to summon something like me, because the summoning that that person was doing was on such a surface level where literally, and I'm not saying, by the way, I just realized now, I'm not saying moon rituals don't work or you shouldn't do them. I was talking in relation to a summoning ritual, like that is dangerous, because that will have you summoning really weird shit. But there is a type of summoning that comes from the depth of a person, that comes from a longing. And yeah, but in that case you don't have to even specify like, oh, this is for protection, or this is for love, or this is for money, or this is for higher understanding. The depth calls what it desires. The depth within you calls whatever it is that it desires. And that's why it's important to create depth. And how do you do that? You do that by processing your emotions. You do that by processing your thought patterns. Ukuphakamisa imimoya, ukuhlambulula imimoya, the cleansing of spirits or entities that you work with. That cleansing, all that is you working through karmic cycles. That's what cleansings is. That's why I always say indaba yokuya emanzini, like you going to the waters and all that, are more of like a symbol of what you're about to do or what you've already done. But the actual work gets done every day in your daily life. Every moment of the day, the work is being done. I digress. A lot of you right now, like I said, are kind of in a space where you may be feeling vulnerable. You may be feeling, like I said, not safe in whatever way. And work with archetypes that have to do with protection, and therefore connect yourself with entities that have to do with protection. And how that is going to work is that, how does an entity protect you from poverty? It's not like they're going to shield you from hiking prices or inflation. No, they're going to give you an opportunity to recover your resources. They're going to teach you how to recover your resources. They're going to show you, expand your knowledge on what you have to offer, in order to connect yourself to resources. If what you have to offer is time, then they will help you connect to the type of job. But guys, I'm being cautious in what I'm saying, because this is not like wishing, you know, with a genie, where it's like, oh, I want to connect to this entity because I'm gonna have a job. No, what it is that, I don't know, it's really weird how you work with an entity. You acquire the skill. Whatever you're asking for, you acquire the skill. It's not this thing where you get bestowed whatever it is that you're asking for. Like, oh, I need more resources, I need more money, and then at the end of the week you've got like more money in your account. It's more like, there's certain ideas that you have within your being that make it so that you can't connect to those certain resources. It could be anything from that's not for me, I'm not educated enough for that, or I'm not the right race for this, or what. It can be anything that you are internally thinking that is countering whatever you're saying you desire. Working with an entity will help you break down these limitations that you believe about yourself, about the world, that can help you better connect to the opportunities that you need, because now you will connect to that opportunity, not because an entity waved a wand, but because you've opened yourself up to connect to a timeline that allows you to receive that opportunity, go for that opportunity. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, ultimately a lot of you are working with entities. However, the current challenge that you may have with working with entities, you're being encouraged to work with entities through archetypes, because the idea of entities may be too expanded for you and it's hard to connect to the concept of entities. So work with the entities through the archetypes. Find an archetype that matches what you feel you understand of the entity you're working with, or the characteristics of the entity you would like to work with. Go through the archetype. Yeah, a lot of you right now are, there's certain actions that you want, there's certain things that you need to do, that you want to do, things that you want to initiate, you want to launch, but you don't know how to do that. You feel as if there's only maybe one specific way that you know how to do that, and because you maybe don't have those ingredients or the things that are required, you feel like you can't do that, but the entity will show you the many other ways in which you can do that. The social construct may only have one template for what you want, but entities will show you the many viable options to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and will help you get there. And it will definitely have to do with working through thought patterns and emotional patterns. We tend to think that what is stopping us from receiving what we want is just these things like I don't have enough money, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not thin enough for this, or not understanding those are the thought patterns that you have to work with in order to get to what it is that you want. You thinking that you're not good enough in whatever way to receive what you want is what's actually stopping you from receiving it. It's the perception you have of yourself in relation to what you want. And I know someone out there will be like, yeah, no, if I want to be a millionaire, I doubt me thinking I can't be a millionaire is what's stopping me. Yeah, it is. And you'd be surprised. Another thing is also, guys, not everybody wants to be a millionaire. I know we think that because maybe we want to be millionaires, but like, not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Some people have specific like numbers in their mind where they like, I can live on this and this is cool, and or some idea that says, oh, my parents lived on this, so I can do that and that'll be fine. Again, there are thought patterns in our lives that make it so that our life is constructed the way it is, and it's time for you to expand those thought patterns in order to expand the life that you live. And through, why do I recommend working with entities so much? Because for me, entities represent the more expansive version of us. Entities are like an extended body, an extended mind, an extended heart, where through those entities you're able to grasp ideas and process emotions in a way that you wouldn't have been able to by yourself, because the social construct doesn't offer that option. It's not that it doesn't allow it, it doesn't offer that option. But because an entity lives outside of the social construct, lives outside of the matrix, they're able to funnel to you a different way of perceiving a certain situation, of being aware of a situation. And I always tell you guys, awareness is everything. That changes the way you move. And something that seemed very far away and impossible for you to get, suddenly you're in the same room with it. Suddenly it's yours. Suddenly that person you thought you could never be is you. And you're struggling more with letting go of who you were. Suddenly that's your biggest problem. And yeah, which is a better problem to have. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. If the reading resonated, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to book a personal reading, all that information is in the description box. Later, guys.